Koa'ki Meiru, Japanese for Chimail, Koakimeiru, a combination of the words core, Chimera, and male, sometimes romanized as Koakimeiru, a combination of the words core and Chimera, is an archetype of cards primary from Raging Battle, Ancient Prophecy, Stardust Overdrive, Absolute Powerforce, and the Shining Darkness. This archetype received more anti-meta and support cards in later sets Starstrike Blast, Primal Origin, and Secrets of Eternity. The majority of their effects center around manipulating the iron core of Koa'ki Meiru or revealing one in your hand to activate an effect. Almost all of the monsters require a maintenance cost in the form of sending an iron core to the graveyard or revealing a monster of the same type. There are exceptions, such as that of Koa'ki Meiru Power Hand, where you must reveal a normal trap card, or Koa'ki Meiru Valifar where you have to send an iron core of Koa'ki Meiru and cannot reveal any card in your hand instead. Another is Koa'ki Meiru Ice, where a continuous spell card is revealed. Koa'ki Meiru are all earth, wind, water, or fire attribute monsters, rendering them immune to their own control-based effects, which often affect light and dark monsters. All of the Koa'ki Meiru have the same mark, 3 dragons, on some part of their body or on a weapon they have. Also, many Koa'ki Meiru and related cards artwork uses yellow, orange, and red, except for Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate. According to Iron Core Specimen Lab, Kozaki and magical scientist experimented and created the Koa'ki Meiru monsters. The theme was initially designed to bring down the dominating decks of over 2 ban lists and therefore centered around heavy control elements. Seeing as the meta was completely dominated by light and dark decks, effects specifically targeted both attributes, therefore bringing about a specific meta, anti-meta theme. Because of their high ATK, 11 level 4 monsters from 1900 ATK, topping out at 3000, Koa'ki Meiru Valifar and Koa'ki Meiru Maximus, and the nature of the new support, the theme has taken a more aggressive approach with powerful beatdown elements, namely Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord and Koa'ki Meiru Urnite. Generally speaking, there are 2 ways to use Koa'ki Meiru cards. The most obvious is simply to use a dedicated deck, the other way is to use individual the Koa'ki Meiru monsters as a supplement to type-specific decks of their type, giving an anti-meta controlling aspect to it as well as being able to maintain it through the alternative maintenance cost, for example, using Koa'ki Meiru Drago in a dragon-type deck as seen in Disaster Dragon builds. In order to run a dedicated Koa'ki Meiru deck, no matter the style, you'll need multiple ways to retrieve the iron core of Koa'ki Meiru from your deck and graveyard. Good cards for this include Koa'ki Meiru Boulder, Koa'ki Meiru Crusader, Diamond Core of Koa'ki Meiru, and Core Transport Unit. Iron Core immediate disposal is also nice mid-game after building up resources in your hand. Cards that help thin the deck or dump the core into the graveyard help make the deck faster and more consistent. You must also be wary of keeping more on field than you can maintain. Your field should max out at 2 Koa'ki Meirus requiring maintenance with multiple cores in play as well as an alternative cost ready in hand. With this in mind, it would be wise to play multiple cards of the same type, making your field easier to maintain. However, with the release of XYZ monsters, you can simply overlay any Koa'ki Meiru monsters that you may not have a maintenance for. Beatdown uses a different lineup, using a minimum of control but only the best in the form of Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord and Koa'ki Meiru Drago. The main attackers are Koa'ki Meiru Bergzak, Koa'ki Meiru Power Hand and Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord. With the addition of Koa'ki Meiru Urnite from Absolute Powerforce, you gain a swarm/toolbox element. Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate is nice protection, but your tribute fodder is best used on Rooklord. Spell/trap protection is a better option. Koa'ki Meiru Beetle, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send 1 iron core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal 1 insect-type monster in your hand. If a light or dark monster is special summoned in attack position, change that monster to defense position. This card is very powerful in spider decks, as they use few light or dark monsters that are special summoned, The switching to defense position aids with the effects of spiders, and the maintenance cost is obviously easy to fulfill. This can stall light sworns and blackwings, as they rarely use monsters outside their attribute. This card works well with mesmeric control. Equip this card with Gravity Axe, Grarl, to lock your opponent's light and dark monsters into defense position. Koa'ki Meiru Bergzak, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one warrior-type monster in your hand. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it can attack once again in a row. Use with final attack orders to inflict maximum damage. Special summon this card with Koa'ki Meiru Urnite. If your opponent only controls one monster, then you can inflict 4000 damage in a single turn. Equip this card with Iron Core Armor to increase its chance of success. Use this card with Time Machine and an attack position monster with low ATK to inflict even more damage. Koa'ki Meiru Boulder, when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru or one level 4 or lower Koa'ki Meiru monster from your deck to your hand. Since getting a copy of Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru into your hand is vital to the success of a Koa'ki Meiru deck, you should probably have as many copies of this card in your deck as you can. You can reveal this card for the effect of Koa'ki Meiru Guardian, Koa'ki Meiru Wall or Koa'ki Meiru Sandman to avoid discarding an Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru during your end phase. Koa'ki Meiru Crusader, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one Beast Warrior type monster in your hand. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add one Koa'ki Meiru card from your graveyard to your hand. Use this card to get back Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru or any Koa'ki Meiru monster in your graveyard to help prevent the destruction of any Koa'ki Meiru monster on the field correspondent to the one in your hand. Use this card's effect to return another Koa'ki Meiru Crusader to your hand, then reveal it to keep it on the field. This doesn't make a difference since your opponent already knows you have it. This card is especially useful if you are running Koa'ki Meiru Valifar, since you will be able to draw normally if you keep destroying monsters. A Koa'ki Meiru deck will likely run 3 of this card. Use Chiron the Mage or Koa'ki Meiru Urnite to fulfill its maintenance cost. Combine this card with Creature Swap and any Koa'ki Meiru monster with 1800 def or lower. Switch your other, Koa'ki Meiru monster to defense position, trade it for your opponent's monster, and then attack it with Crusader to get your monster back in your hand. Koa'ki Meiru Doom, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one Fiend-type monster in your hand. Negate the effects of light and dark monsters that activate during the main phase. This card can be utilized in an Infernoid deck, as you can always pay the maintenance cost and it will hinder the opponent from making plays if their deck is built around light and dark monsters. This card works well with Element Doom and Desert Twister, as both of them are Fiend-type monsters. In a deck composed of 40 monster cards, you can use this, Gollies the Star Beast and Gen X ally Birdman to perform an OTK. Normal summon this card, special summon Gollies, as you're guaranteed to mill a monster card, and activate the effect of Birdman. However, since this card prevents its special summon, it stays in your hand. Repeat the early action. Koa'ki Meiru Draco, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one Dragon-type monster in your hand. Neither player can special summon light or dark monsters. Divine Dragon Apocryph can help return Koa'ki Meiru Draco to your hand. Also, it can be revealed in your hand to preserve Draco. If you have this card and Future Fusion in your hand, make sure you activate Future Fusion first before summoning this card, since Five-Headed Dragon is a dark monster. This card is outstanding in dragon-based decks, especially Disaster Dragon and its variants, as you can prevent the special summon of many popular light and dark monsters such as High Priestess of Prophecy, Evil Swarm Ophion, Grapha, Dragon Lord of Dark World, number 16, Shockmaster and number 11, Big Eye, but keep in mind that it can block Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon as well. However, Disaster Dragon deck rarely having Light or Dark Dragon type monster other than Darkness Metal Dragon anyway, so it is always better to keep this card on the field, even if it just as a beat stick. With the Chaos Dragon and Hieratic decks rising in popularity, this card can be very useful against them, since this card can block Red Eye / Light Pulsar combo, as well as preventing special summon of their other chaos-based monsters such as Black Luster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning and Chaos Sorcerer. If possible, protect this card with Queen Dragon Jin, make sure you summon it first, so that even Jane, Lightsworn Paladin and Card Trooper cannot destroy it. If you utilizing a Dragon Koa'ki Meiru hybrid deck, you can choose to summon Koa'ki Meiru Maximus instead, although its maintenance is rather troublesome at times. Maximus can also used in conjunction with, or replacement for Scrap Dragon, as their effects similar, and you can easily revive them both with Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon, while Drago can fulfill Maximus maintenance cost or provide target for the effects of Scrap Dragon. If you search out Blue Eyes White Dragon with the effect of the White Stone of Legend, you can use that same Blue Eyes as the card you reveal to your opponent for this card's effect, since your opponent already knows you have it in your hand. If you already have light and dark monsters on your field, control a Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon, and have nothing better to play with its effect, you can special summon Drago without worrying about it affecting your ability to special summon too much. You still need to keep dragons in your hand for this card's maintenance, though. It's best to summon this card when you're ready to finish your opponent off, to block any Gortz the Emissary of Darkness, Tragoedia and Battle Fader from ruining your game finishing move. If this card is on your field but you want to get rid of it, you can tribute it for the effect of Tyrant Dragon when it's played from the graveyard. In addition, Tyrant Dragon makes an easy replacement for other light and dark attribute dragons while this card is on the field. You can banish this card with Interdimensional Matter Transporter during your turn so that you can summon all the lights and darks you want, then it will return in your end phase and your opponent will be unable to play their lights and darks. Just be aware that you will still need a monster to reveal / an Iron Core to discard. Wind Up Zenmei Easter can also be used in this situation. In an armed dragon deck, or any deck that has no me dragons, you can use a dead draw to your advantage while you have this card on the field. For example, if you draw Armed Dragon LV7 early in the game, then you can simply reveal this card every time as it serves no purpose until you are able to special summon it. With Elector, Sovereign of Birds on your side of the field, you can special summon light and dark monsters during your turn. Keep in mind that this card can potentially stop most level 5 or lower Synchro monster combo plays, since it blocks Formula Synchron, Armory Arm, Ally of Justice Catastor, Magical Android and TG. Hyper Librarian. With this in mind, it also useful for preventing the appearance of TG. Blade Blaster or TG. Halberd Cannon, assuming that the deck does not use Lifestream Dragon. Against dark and light decks, this card makes a good candidate for last turn. Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one zombie-type monster in your hand. If a Koa'ki Meiru monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by a card effect, you can remove from play one Koa'ki Meiru monster in your graveyard instead. Use Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru to send Koa'ki Meiru monsters to the graveyard while also adding it to the hand to pay this card's maintenance cost. Use Burial from a Different Dimension to restock your graveyard with Koa'ki Meiru monsters. If you have a Gaia Plate the Earth Giant in your deck, use the effect of Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate to banish Rock-type Koa'ki Meiru monsters and then use Burial from a Different Dimension to restock your graveyard with the aforementioned Rock-type Koa'ki Meiru monsters so that you can banish them again to special summon Gaia Plate the Earth Giant. Koa'ki Meiru Graveros, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one plant-type monster in your hand. During each of your standby phases, you can send one level 3 or lower monster from your deck to your graveyard. You can use this card to send Treeborn Frog, Necro Gardna, Shiny Black Sea, Spore, Dark Verger, Samsara Lotus, Dandelion, or Naturia Pineapple to the graveyard. Send Plague Spreader Zombie to the graveyard to synchro summon a level 6 monster in the same turn. You can use this card to send any part of Exodia so you can collect them later with Backup Soldier, Monster Reincarnation, Dark Factory of Mass Production etc., or keep them there for Exodia Necros. Send a level 3 tuner monster to the graveyard to use for the effect of Dark Bug. In a Volcanic deck, use this card to load up the graveyard with Volcanic Counter. Best used in combo with Gigaplant after making it an effect monster and Lonefire Blossom so you can revive the Lonefire and tribute it for another high-level plant monster like Titanial, Princess of Camellias. You can use this card's effect to dump plant monsters for Black Rose Dragon or Splendid Rose. Summon this card with the effect of Lonefire Blossom and then use its effect to send Spore to the graveyard. Then banish Lonefire with Spore to get a level 4 Spore to the field and then tune for a level 8 Synchro monster. Send Sinister Serpent to the graveyard to bring him right back to your hand or Glow Up Bulb for a level 5 Synchro monster. Koa'ki Meiru Guardian, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one Rock-type monster in your hand. During either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. Combo this card with Neospatian Grand Mole. Not only will you get to use the effect of Grand Mole repeatedly, but you can also constantly fill the requirement of needing to reveal a rock-type monster each turn. Use this card with Skill Drain, allowing you to negate the effect of an effect monster that is not negated by it. Consider putting this card in an Evil Hero deck. Not only does it have high ATK, but it can negate any effect monster's effect and be a fusion material for Evil Hero Dark Gaia. You can reveal the Dark, Hex-sealed Fusion, the Light, Hex-sealed Fusion, the Earth, Hex-sealed Fusion and even Big Piece Golem. You can force the activation of a mandatory effect, then destroy that monster with Guardian. For example, you can attack Ally of Justice Catastor and destroy it. Koa'ki Meiru Hydro Barrier, you can return one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the top of the deck. If you do, the effect, S, of all face-up effect monsters are negated until the standby phase of your next turn, except Koa'ki Meiru monsters. Use with Koa'ki Meiru Speeder to continue drawing as normal. This card can cripple monster cards who gain their ATK through their effects, Mega Rock Dragon, Venaminon the King of Poisonous Snakes etc. This card can stop your own negative effects, such as Goblin Attack Force and Chainsaw Insect. Solomon's Law Book is a good card to combine with this card as well. Koa'ki Meiru Ice, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one continuous spell card in your hand. You can send one card from your hand to the graveyard to destroy one special summoned monster on the field. This card can easily fit into a Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder or Dragon Queen of Tragic Endings deck since it relies on continuous spells. This card functions very productively in an Aqua Actress deck, both to make up for raw attack in early game, as well as easy disposal of troublesome special summoned monsters, while in return the deck can almost constantly avoid the cost that would otherwise destroy this card, due to the abundance of continuous spell cards it uses. The effects of the copies of the same continuous spells can be used to further support this card as well, giving it several advantages. This card can work well in alien decks, since they use multiple continuous spells. Cosmic Fortress Golgar can be used to return a continuous spell to your hand before the end phase. Koa'ki Meiru Maximus, this card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card can only be special summoned by removing from play one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand. During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru or one Koa'ki Meiru monster from your hand to the graveyard. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can select and destroy one card your opponent controls. You can use this card's maintenance cost of discarding a Koa'ki Meiru monster to set up plays with Urgent Synthesis, Core Reinforcement and Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord. Normal summon a Koa'ki Meiru Urnite and use his effect to summon any Koa'ki Meiru. Then, remove the Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru for Maximus, play Core Overclock and attack directly for an OTK. Since you can summon Koa'ki Meiru Bergzak, Koa'ki Meiru Guardian or Koa'ki Meiru Sandman and Maximus can destroy any card, it's extremely hard for your opponent to survive. Koa'ki Meiru Crusader and Koa'ki Meiru Speeder can help with this card's cost, but you will also need to reveal something to keep one of them alive as well. Use Heart of Clear Water to protect Koa'ki Meiru Speeder, that way you can maintain your hand, and this card no problem. Since this card is a semi-Nomi monster, it can be used in a Hopeless Dragon deck. Summon it using its effect, then, after it is destroyed at the end of the turn, special summon it with Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon during your next turn. Special summon this card and normal summon Magna Drago for a quick synchro summon of Trident Drigian. Be careful about using this card. It is very hard to return spells and traps that have been banished, so your Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru will be effectively rendered useless for the rest of the duel. This card works well with Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate as Maximus maintenance cost requires you to discard monsters which can in turn be used to fuel Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate's effect. Have this card be the only monster you control and combo with Core Blast to destroy all of your opponent's cards in one turn. Surprise your opponent by summoning this card from the graveyard with Core Reinforcement and chaining Core Blast during your opponent's end phase when he/she has two or more monsters. Koa'ki Meiru Overload, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one Rock-type monster in your hand. During either player's turn, when your opponent would summon a monster, you can tribute this card, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Use the effect of Koa'ki Meiru Crusader, Block Golem or number 55, Gagago Goliath to recycle this card. Koa'ki Meiru Power Hand, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one normal trap card from your hand. If this card battles with a light or dark monster, any of that monster's effects that activate or apply on the field are negated during the battle phase, while this card remains on the field. This card is good support in Gadget deck since it relies on many defensive trap cards. This card can easily destroy most stalling monsters like Krebens, Spirit Reaper, Arcana Force Zero, The Fool and Marshmallow in battle. It can also stop flip effects such as Gravekeeper's Spy, Raikou, Lightsworn Hunter, Dekoiki the Battle-Chanted Locomotive and Worms. You can increase this card's ATK to destroy Ally of Justice Catastor in battle. If Jinzo battles with this card, traps can be activated and will resolve so you can play cards like Mirror Force to destroy Jinzo. This card is an efficient way of destroying dark or light monsters that increase their ATK due to their effect, like the Wicked Avatar, Chimera Overdragon, King of the Skull Servants, Tragoedia, etc. The trap card Limiter Overload can not only be used to satisfy Power Hand's maintenance cost, but can also activate its effect and special summon a Speed Warrior when it is sent from your hand to the graveyard. This can slightly help you against opponents who use hand destruction techniques. Use DNA Transplant or Scroll of Bewitchment to change monsters to dark or light. DNA Transplant can be more effective, however. Reveal a normal trap card for the maintenance cost, then activate Dust Tornado if you need to set that trap. Koa'ki Meiru Prototype, if a face-up Koa'ki Meiru monster, on the field would be destroyed during the end phase, you can destroy this card instead. When a face-up Koa'ki Meiru monster, on the field is destroyed during the end phase, you can special summon one Koa'ki Meiru token, rock type /earth /level 4 /ATK 1800 /def 1800. This card can be revealed for Koa'ki Meiru Guardian, Koa'ki Meiru Sandman and Koa'ki Meiru Wall. Use the token as the cost for Koa'ki Meiru Initialize. Combo this card's second effect with Iron Core Specimen Lab. Have your other Koa'ki Meirus expire, get 2 replacements for each, one in your hand, and one on the field. A single token created by this card can be used to tribute summon Koa'ki Meiru Valifar or Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord. If you have a Koa'ki Meiru Urnite on your field and don't want it to be destroyed, but don't want to discard an Iron Core from your hand to save it, use its effect to special summon this card, then let this card be destroyed to keep Urnite alive. Using the strategy above with Iron Core Specimen Lab will not only allow your key monsters to survive, but it will also search for another monster of the same type, allowing you to use it for the maintenance cost. Since this is the only Koa'ki Meiru monster whose self-destruction is part of its effect, and not a maintenance cost, it is an easy method of summoning the Meklord Emperors. Use a single copy of this card to keep several Koa'ki Meiru monsters with different maintenance costs alive for one turn. This is much easier than discarding multiple cores and revealing different monster types in your hand. Whenever possible, try to use Koa'ki Meiru Crusader's effect to return this card to your hand and normal summon it again each turn to keep your other monsters active continuously. Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one warrior type monster in your hand. You can tribute summon this card by tributing one Koa'ki Meiru monster. When this card is normal summoned, you can remove from play one Koa'ki Meiru card in your graveyard to destroy up to 2 cards your opponent controls. This card can be tribute summoned with one tribute using the Trojan Horse and the First Monarch. You can use reinforcement of the army to add level 4 or lower warrior type monster for the maintenance cost of this card, like Koa'ki Meiru Bergzak. Use core reinforcement to summon a monster to use as a tribute to summon this card. You then no longer have to worry about the drawback of core reinforcement. Using this card with Koa'ki Meiru Prototype can make this card easier to summon because it generates tokens. Koa'ki Meiru Sandman, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one rock type monster in your hand. During either player's turn, when your opponent activates a trap card, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If your opponent has face-down cards while you have a Koa'ki Meiru Urnite on the field, and you are wary about attacking, use the effect of Urnite and special summon this card. You can then attack in relative safety, with this card preventing the use of your opponent's traps. You can reveal Koa'ki Meiru Boulder, Koa'ki Meiru Guardian, Koa'ki Meiru Wall, Koa'ki Meiru Prototype or another copy of Sandman to pay for this card's maintenance cost. If Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos or any other card that would banish this card is used, then you can use Release from Stone or DDR. Different Dimension Reincarnation to reuse this card's effect. When your opponent activates cards like Bottomless Trap Hole or Dimensional Prison, don't forget that, even if you can't save your monster, you can choose to send this card to the graveyard instead of banishing, for later reusing it with core reinforcement. Koa'ki Meiru Sea Panther, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one water monster in your hand. Once per turn, you can send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard to return one spell card from your graveyard to the top of your deck. While in a water deck, if you don't have water monsters to reveal, use Salvage to return 2 of them to your hand. Protect this card from your opponent's monsters and effects for one turn with a legendary Ocean, Aegis of the Ocean Dragon Lord combo. Koa'ki Meiru monsters you can reveal during your end phase to keep this card on the field include Koa'ki Meiru Hydro Barrier, Koa'ki Meiru Ice and itself. This card works well with Destiny Hero, Diamond Dude. Koa'ki Meiru Speeder, During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one machine-type monster in your hand. If you draw Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru during your draw phase, you can reveal it to your opponent to draw one more card. This card has a great combo with Koa'ki Meiru Tornado and Koa'ki Meiru Hydro Barrier. Since you put Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru on top of your deck, this card lets you keep drawing as normal. Since this card is one of the main draw engines in a Koa'ki Meiru deck, it works better to have 3 copies of it. So then, you can better your chances of drawing the card and use the other copies for the maintenance cost. You can also use Koa'ki Meiru Power Hand for the maintenance cost of this card, since it is also a machine-type monster. Summon this card and set Reckless Greed, Jar of Greed and / or Legacy of Yatagarasu. Then, during your draw phase, activate the set card while Koa'ki Meiru Speeder is face up to increase your chances of drawing Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru. Run this card and some other Koa'ki Meiru monsters in a gadget deck. Since summoning a gadget will add one other gadget monster into your hand, you will be able to sustain this card on the field. Koa'ki Meiru Tornado, you can return one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the top of the deck to destroy all special summoned monsters your opponent controls. Use with Koa'ki Meiru Speeder to continue drawing as normal. Use Iron Core Immediate Disposal to send Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from the top of your deck to the graveyard so you can continue drawing as usual. Use this card against a Gladiator Beast or Infernity Synchro deck to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Koa'ki Meiru Urnite, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one Beast Warrior type monster in your hand. Once per turn, you can reveal one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your hand to special summon one level 4 or lower Koa'ki Meiru monster from your deck, except Koa'ki Meiru Urnite. This card is useful with Koa'ki Meiru Crusader as it can count for the Beast Warrior monster or it can bring back an Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru with its effect for this card's effect. This card can be used along with Iron Core Specimen Lab as it can special summon other Koa'ki Meiru monsters that you need for certain conditions. Then, during your end phase you can throw away your Koa'ki Meiru monsters that you don't need and protect your Koa'ki Meiru monsters that you have special summoned by Koa'ki Meiru Urnite. 2 copies of this card can set a high damage setup. Simply special summon 2 Koa'ki Meiru monsters with 2 Urnites and either attack for the game or tribute 3 monsters for Beast King Barbaros, clearing the field. Then, if you want to OTK, you can discard Iron Core to special summon the Tricky, play Urgent Synthesis to get back one of the tribute mirrors and attack for the game. If you lack any Beast Warrior monsters in your hand and don't want to discard your Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru, use this card's effect to special summon Koa'ki Meiru Prototype. Not only is Urnite protected for a turn, but Prototype's destruction used in tandem with Iron Core Specimen Lab will grant you any Koa'ki Meiru monster you wish, including Koa'ki Meiru Crusader or another Urnite to pay your maintenance cost next turn. Use Winged Rhinos with this card. If your opponent activates a trap card, you can return Winged Rhinos to your hand and use it for Urnite's maintenance cost. You can XYZ summon a rank 4 by special summoning a level 4 Koa'ki Meiru monster. You can summon any level 4 Koa'ki Meiru monster, then play Instant Fusion to summon Dark Fire Dragon or Carbonilla Warrior and XYZ summon a powerful monster such as, number 16, Shockmaster. A powerful play can be made if you activate Cold Wave and follow up by special summoning Koa'ki Meiru Urnite / Koa'ki Meiru Maximus. It can be made even more deadly if Urnite was already on the field when Koa'ki Meiru Urnite resolved. You could normal summon another Koa'ki Meiru Urnite and special summon another monster with his effect, preferably one of the rock triplets, to lock you opponent out of the game come their next turn, provided that you didn't end the game earlier. Koa'ki Meiru Valifar, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard. You can tribute summon this monster by tributing one Koa'ki Meiru monster. This card cannot be destroyed by the effects of trap cards. During battle between this attacking card and a defense position monster whose def is lower than the ATK of this card, inflict the difference as battle damage to your opponent. This card can be tribute summoned with one tribute using Flame Ruler and the First Monarch. Activate your own torrential tribute in response to summoning this card. This card will not be destroyed, and even if you cannot discard a Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru at the end of your turn, there's still enough time to attack directly for 3000 damage. This card works very well with Hate Buster, especially since it cannot be destroyed by trap cards. Activate Core Reinforcement and special summon this card. When Core Reinforcement is removed from the field, this card won't be destroyed. Use double summon and any Koa'ki Meiru monster to summon this card in a single turn. Note that it cannot be destroyed by trap cards, but can still be affected by them. You can still send it back to your opponent's hand with Compulsory Evacuation Device or a similar card. You can also banish it with cards like Dimensional Prison. Combo this card with Overwhelm to make this card safe from everything except spell cards. When this card is destroyed by its own effect, you can activate a deal with Dark Ruler to special summon Berserk Dragon. If you tribute summon this card using Hardened Armed Dragon, it will not be destroyed by its own effect. Summon this card with Core Reinforcement, then use Darkness Neosphere to return Core Reinforcement to your hand and reset it. This way you avoid taking damage during the end phase, and when Valfar self-destructs you can bring back Valfar every turn. Be warned of banish cards such as Macrocosmos. It is highly recommended to use Imperial Iron Wall to avoid this problem. This strategy lets you use Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru for other card effects instead of Valafar's heavy cost. Also, since Valfar is a fiend type, you can use it with the Such of Koa'ki Meiru Doom to summon Darkness Neosphere. Be warned of Doom's effect as it will shut down its effect. This can be very tricky in a Koa'ki Meiru deck depending in what type of Koa'ki Meiru deck the player uses. However, if played skillfully it can be quite powerful. You can use Call of the Haunted to summon this card, and then return Call to your hand with Giant Trunad or a similar card. Koa'ki Meiru Wall. During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one Rock-type monster in your hand. During either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell card, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. You can reveal Koa'ki Meiru Boulder, Koa'ki Meiru Guardian, Koa'ki Meiru Prototype, Koa'ki Meiru Sandman, or another copy of Wall to pay for this card's maintenance cost. If Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos, or any other card that would banish this card is used, then you can use Release from Stone or DDR. Different Dimension Reincarnation to reuse this card's effect. When your opponent activates cards like Dark Core, don't forget that, even if you can't save your monster, you can choose to send this card to the graveyard instead of banish, for later reusing it with Core Reinforcement. Use the effect of Koa'ki Meiru Crusader to add this card to your hand and reuse its effect. Koa'ki Meiru War Arms. During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard or reveal one warrior-type monster in your hand. Once per turn, you can target one level 3 or lower warrior-type monster in your graveyard, equip that target to this card. This card gains ATK equal to half the combined ATK of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. If this card would be destroyed by battle, destroy all monsters equipped to it by this effect instead. You can combo this card with Evocator Chevalier or Phoenix Gear Fried. This monster works well in conjunction with Koa'ki Meiru Gravaros. While this card may look useless in a Koa'ki Meiru deck, you can use it for maintaining Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord. Once Rooklord is destroyed, you can discard this card for Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru, or intentionally destroy it during the end phase for Iron Core Specimen Lab or tribute it for Koa'ki Meiru Initialize. Core Blaster, equip only to a Koa'ki Meiru monster. If it battles a light or dark monster, destroy that monster without applying damage calculation. When the equipped monster is removed from the field and this card is sent to the graveyard, you can return this card to your hand. Use DNA transplant to turn all monsters into dark or light to make it easy to clear the field. The monster equipped with this card is an ideal target for Twin Swords of Flashing Light, Trees, as the ATK reduction doesn't get in the way of this card's effect. Use this card against Lightsworn or Blackwing. They won't be able to destroy it by battle and Honest/Kalut can't be used. Equip this card to Koa'ki Meiru Guardian to further limit your opponent's options. You can use this card's effect to destroy monsters that can't be destroyed by battle like Spirit Reaper and Marshmallow. You can also use this card to destroy monsters that have a high ATK and def like Judgment Dragon or Dark Armed Dragon. Core Compression: reveal one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your hand and discard one Koa'ki Meiru monster to activate this card. Draw 2 cards. Destroy your opponent's monster with Koa'ki Meiru Crusader and add a Koa'ki Meiru monster to your hand. Then discard that monster for this card's cost. Use Koa'ki Meiru Sea Panther to discard Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru and place this card on the top of your deck, then activate the effect of Destiny Hero, Diamond Dude to draw 2 cards next turn. Core Overclock: all face-up Koa'ki Meiru monsters you control gain 500 ATK. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can discard one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru to have all face-up Koa'ki Meiru monsters you control gain 1000 ATK until the end phase. Use this card to boost Koa'ki Meiru Crusader to 3400, then destroy an opposing monster to use his effect to get the core back. This card works very well with Koa'ki Meiru Bergzak. Core Transport Unit: once per turn, you can discard one card to add one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your deck to your hand. Use this card's discard cost to set up for cards such as Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate, Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord, Koa'ki Meiru Crusader and Core Reinforcement. You can discard another copy of Iron Core for this card. This way, you can set up for Negaton Core Panel or Urgent Synthesis and thin your deck. This card is perfect for the maintenance cost of Koa'ki Meiru Ice. Discard a card that would be a dead draw, like Iron Core Immediate Disposal. You can return the core from your graveyard to your deck with cards like Hidden Spellbook, the Transmigration Prophecy or Recycle. That way, you can draw from your deck and get the core at the cost of one other card. This strategy has more hand control than the alternative to reclaiming the core with its effect. Use this card together with Koa'ki Meiru Urnite and Iron Core Specimen Lab to get any Koa'ki Meiru monster during the first rounds. Play Koa'ki Meiru Urnite and Core Transport Unit. Activate Core Transport Unit's effect and then Koa'ki Meiru Urnite's effect. Special summon whatever Koa'ki Meiru monster you like. Activate Iron Core Specimen Lab. Choose to destroy Koa'ki Meiru Urnite and the summoned Koa'ki Meiru monster. Grab any Koa'ki Meiru monster you want. Diamond Core of Koa'ki Meiru: add one Koa'ki Meiru card from your deck to your hand, except Diamond Core of Koa'ki Meiru. You can banish this card from your graveyard. For the rest of this turn, Koa'ki Meiru monsters you control cannot be destroyed. This card can be searched by Dark Sage, Ancient Gear Drill, Alchemic Magician, Angmarl the Fiendish Monarch and Left Arm Offering. This card can be retrieved from the graveyard with Koa'ki Meiru Crusader. This card can be used to circumvent the maintenance cost of most Koa'ki Meiru monsters for one turn. This card is a quicker and more flexible substitute for Koa'ki Meiru Boulder. Iron Core Armor: equip only to a Koa'ki Meiru monster. During damage calculation only, monsters that battle with the equipped monster lose ATK equal to the equipped monster's level x 100. If the equipped monster would be destroyed during the end phase, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. This card can be used to substitute Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru, in case you have multiple Koa'ki Meiru monsters on the field. Its first effect is almost the same with Burden of the Mighty and it can help to destroy opponent's monster easily. For maximum effect, use this on Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord, Koa'ki Meiru Valifar or Koa'ki Meiru Maximus. Iron Core immediate disposal, select and send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your deck to your graveyard. Use this card to dump Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru into the graveyard. Then, next turn, instead of drawing a card, you can retrieve it from the graveyard. Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru. During your draw phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand instead of drawing, and slash or send one Koa'ki Meiru monster from your hand to your graveyard to add this card to your hand. Magical hats can help search this card for it to be sent to the graveyard. Alternatively, foolish burial goods can be used to send it right way. Iron Core Specimen Lab. During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you reveal one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your hand. Each time a Koa'ki Meiru monster on the field is destroyed during the end phase, its owner can add one Koa'ki Meiru monster from their deck to their hand. This card can help conserve Koa'ki Meiru Maximus. Use Koa'ki Meiru Urnite to special summon a Koa'ki Meiru monster. Let the summoned monster die so you can search a Beast Warrior to maintain Urnite the next turn. This card can search high-level Koa'ki Meiru monsters such as Koa'ki Meiru Maximus and Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord. If Koa'ki Meiru Urnite would be destroyed in the end phase, simply activate Iron Core Specimen Lab and get another a copy from your deck. In the worst case scenario, activate this card if you control a Koa'ki Meiru you can't keep on the field, even if you don't have the Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru. Since both effects belong to you, choose to destroy the monster first, trading 2 dead cards for any Koa'ki Meiru in your deck. Use this card with Koa'ki Meiru prototype to generate card advantage whenever a Koa'ki Meiru is destroyed at the end phase. Koa'ki Meiru Initialize. Tribute one Koa'ki Meiru monster to add one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This card can be searched by Diamond Core of Koa'ki Meiru. Use this card right after activating an effect that involves sending the core from your hand to somewhere else, i.e. Koa'ki Meiru Hydro Barrier and Koa'ki Meiru Sea Panther. Since this card has Koa'ki Meiru in its name, it can be returned to your hand with Koa'ki Meiru Crusader. You can tribute a Koa'ki Meiru which you can't pay the maintenance. This is even more useful if the monster was summoned by core reinforcement. You can use this card when one of your monsters have already been targeted with a destruction or removal effect, by cards like Celestia, Lightsworn Angel, or Brain Control. Koa'ki Ring. Reveal one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your hand to select one face-up monster on the field. Destroy that monster, and both players take 1000 damage. Use Barrel Behind the Door to make your opponent take 2000 points of damage. Activate this card while you control a monster equipped with Brutal Potion so you can destroy an opposing monster and give one of your monsters 1000 more ATK. Use this card to make an opening for an attack and slash or destroy a hard-to-beat monster. Urgent Synthesis. Return one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your graveyard to the deck. Special summon one level 4 or lower Koa'ki Meiru monster from your hand or your graveyard. Iron Core immediate disposal can be used to send the Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru to the graveyard. Alternatively, cycle through the cores in your deck with Core Transport Unit to use this card. This card can help you get the core from your grave to your hand before your draw phase without cost. Using in combination with Koa'ki Meiru Initialize. Use this card to summon a monster from your grave, and then sacrifice it for initials and get that core to your hand from the deck. Special summon Koa'ki Meiru Urnite for extra swarming. Use his effect to summon any level 4 Koa'ki Meiru in your deck, then use both for the XYZ summon of La Valval Chain. Activate his effect, sending the attached Urnite and an Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru to the graveyard. Then, activate this card, special summoning Koa'ki Meiru Urnite again, potentially XYZ summoning 2 monsters in one turn. Automatic Laser. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, with 1000 or more ATK, reveal one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your hand to activate this card. Destroy that summoned monster, Core Blast. You can only activate this card's effect while you control a face-up Koa'ki Meiru monster. Once per turn, during your standby phase, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can destroy a number of cards your opponent controls so that your opponent will control the same number of cards as you control monsters. This card can compensate for Koa'ki Meiru's lack of swarming abilities. Use this card followed by Kaiser Colosseum. It will allow you a great amount of control over your opponent's field. Pinpoint Guard will make a great combo with this trap to set up its effect. You can use cards like Threatening Roar to make sure your monster sticks, or you can use Call of the Haunted or Core Reinforcement to quickly return a monster in your standby phase. Ojima Trio can also be used to make sure your opponent has more monsters than you do. This card can clear your opponent's field very easily, by not destroying cards like Call of the Haunted or equip spell cards, or even by removing your own Koa'ki Meiru from the field before it resolves. Use Koa'ki Meiru Initialize to remove your monster before this effect resolves. Keep in mind that this card activates its effect by your opponent having more monsters than you do, but you destroy cards, not just monsters, controlled by your opponent until it equals the number of monsters you control. I.e., you have one Koa'ki Meiru monster. Your opponent has 5 monsters and 6 spell/traps on the field. You can destroy your opponent's cards until there is only one on their field. If that one monster is Koa'ki Meiru Maximus, you can use its effect to destroy the last card, clearing your opponent's field completely. Summon another monster, during the turn you use this effect to overwhelm as much as possible. If you chain a card like Compulsory Evacuation Device to this card's effect to return your only Koa'ki Meiru monster to your hand, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. You can then summon that monster back to the field for a direct attack on your opponent's life points. Core Reinforcement, select and special summon one Koa'ki Meiru monster from your graveyard in attack position. When that monster is destroyed during your end phase, the controller of this card takes damage equal to that monster's ATK. When this card is removed from the field, destroy that monster. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. Use Barrel Behind the Door or Spell of Pain to transfer the damage to your opponent. Use this card to bring back a Koa'ki Meiru Valifar so that when Core Reinforcement is destroyed it won't destroy Koa'ki Meiru Valifar along with it. You can tribute the monster special summoned by this card to tribute summon Koa'ki Meiru Valifar or Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord. You can use this card with Core Blast when you have no monsters to allow yourself to destroy all but one of your opponent's monsters. Iron Core Luster, reveal one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your hand. Negate the activation of your opponent's spell or trap card and destroy it. Koa'ki Meiru Shield, activate only when your opponent's monster declares an attack if you have 2 or more Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your graveyard. Destroy all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. Since this card's name includes Koa'ki Meiru, it can be recycled through Koa'ki Meiru Crusader. Use Core Transport Unit to cycle cores into the graveyard, allowing you to use this effect. Use Magical Hats to put 2 Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru into the graveyard. Discard an Iron Core to use Core Transport Unit's effect. Then summon a Koa'ki Meiru monster and discard the core you searched to keep it on the field. Now you have fulfilled all of the requirements for this card in one turn. Negaton Core Panel, activate only if you control a face-up Koa'ki Meiru monster and have Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru in your graveyard. Negate the activation of an effect monster's effect, and destroy it. With the release of Core Transport Unit in the TCG, this card is now playable. You can discard one Iron Core for another with Transport Unit, so one of your cores is in the graveyard for this card, while the other remains in your hand. This deck revolves around anti-meta. Obviously, the most important card in the deck is Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru, so having 3 in your deck is a must. Most of the monsters are used against effect monsters, mostly dark and light monsters, since they are the commonly used decks, Infernities, Lightsworns, Blackwings etc. Most Koa'ki Meiru decks should focus on the negation effects of Koa'ki Meiru Wall, Koa'ki Meiru Sandman, and Koa'ki Meiru Guardian, and the card advantage and swarming effects of Koa'ki Meiru Crusader and Koa'ki Meiru Urnite, using the other Koa'ki Meiru monsters according to the deck's main strategy. In addition, Koa'ki Meiru Ice and Koa'ki Meiru Tornado are wonderful in punishing your opponent's powerful special summoned monsters. Koa'ki Meiru can also work well with support for equip spell cards. Using cards like Hidden Armory, Iron Core armor can be recycled just as much as the Iron Core itself. Core Blaster is also extremely powerful, and even a single copy could destroy decks that focus heavily on light and dark monsters. Koa'ki Meiru Bergzak works very well with any ATK boosting effect, and Iron Blacksmith Katetsu fits on the deck since it's a Beast Warrior. Trade-in can work well if you are using Beast King Barbaros or Grand Soil the Elemental Lord to reveal for Koa'ki Meiru Urnite and Koa'ki Meiru Crusader. Other level 8 monsters to work with trade-in are Koa'ki Meiru Valifar and Koa'ki Meiru Maximus. It would be wise to include cards that return monsters and other cards to your or your opponent's hand. For example, Compulsory Evacuation Device or Penguin Soldier can both remove threats from the field or keep a Koa'ki Meiru alive for a turn, or even using it for the maintenance. Usual anti-meta tricks like Grave of the Super Ancient Organism or Royal Oppression work fairly well, since Koa'ki Meiru can maintain a solid game even without special summoning. Although most Koa'ki Meiru monsters have difficulty staying on the field, a few of them work incredibly well together, sharing types or common reveals that help ensure their survival on the field. However, because most are level 4, they can be used for an XYZ summon before they are destroyed during the end phase. Koa'ki Meiru Urnite and Koa'ki Meiru Crusader are Beast Warrior type monsters and have the same reveal requirement, while allowing for a good presence on the field and card advantage. Urnite can special summon another level 4 Koa'ki from the deck for a quick XYZ summon, and Crusader can recover Urnite after it has been detached. Koa'ki Meiru Wall, Koa'ki Meiru Sandman, Koa'ki Meiru Guardian, Koa'ki Meiru Boulder, Koa'ki Meiru Prototype, Koa'ki Meiru Overload and Gigantes can be extremely aggressive when combined, as well as controlling the field and hand. Wall, Sandman, Overload, and Guardian all have effect negation abilities. They are used for a rock stun deck. Boulder and Prototype are both extremely useful for Koa'ki Meiru monsters because they do not require the normal sacrifice. Boulder is used to search for other Koa'ki Meiru monsters or Iron Cores, while Prototype can sacrifice itself to prevent a Koa'ki Meiru monster from being destroyed during the end phase of the turn. Koa'ki Meiru Maximus can be used as the reveal cost for Koa'ki Meiru Drago. Drago's effect serves as disruption, while you gather Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru for Maximus's final push for game. Maximus is often a dead draw early on, however, and it is difficult to maintain once it hits the field, making it a very powerful but also very temperamental boss monster. Use with caution. Koa'ki Meiru Doom and Koa'ki Meiru Valifar also work together, usually in a different deck revolving around Evil Hero Dark Gaia and Dark Fusion. Koa'ki Meiru Speeder can null the costs for Koa'ki Meiru Tornado and Koa'ki Meiru Hydro Barrier, as well as working with Koa'ki Meiru Power Hand due to their high ATK and def and low levels. Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate has a protection effect which can be easily achieved by building up a good graveyard size with Iron Core Specimen Lab and Koa'ki Meiru Urnite. Koa'ki Meiru Golungulate can easily be brought out with Pyramid Turtle's effect, and keeps a good tribute fodder for Koa'ki Meiru Rooklord. Since both banish, burial from a different dimension and return from the different dimension can be very useful. Finally, a few cards have the heavy cost of discarding a spell card from your hand, like Summoner Monk, Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell and Chiron the Mage, but Koa'ki Meiru decks can recycle the Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru as long as they want to, making these much more consistent than any other deck. Because Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru may often be in the graveyard, it is vulnerable to cards that can banish it, such as Gladiator Beast Rishiori and Macro Cosmos. Also, having multiple Koa'ki Meiru monsters on the field at once can be extremely dangerous, as each one would require you to reveal a card or discard a card from your hand at the end phase, leaving your hand and field advantage very hard to maintain unless multiple copies are used. For example, 3 Koa'ki Meiru power hands only require 1 normal trap card revealed. A good way to avoid problems with this is to keep a duplicate of the specific monsters in your hand. Usually, Koa'ki Meiru monsters require you to reveal a monster of the same type, so you can reveal a duplicate or another Koa'ki Meiru of the same type. Koa'ki Meiru monsters are very reliant on the hand, and so cards like Card Destruction, Mind Crush, or DD Designator can completely disrupt the player's strategy, and cards like Trap Dust Shoot or even Koala can deal serious damage. One way to beat the Koa'ki Meiru format is to have the opponent permanently reveal their hand to you on their turns in order to make them either discard an Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru or destroy the card, since they cannot reveal the card to you. Such cards include Respect Play and Ceremonial Bell. Banish decks can banish Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru, and so you have to rely on your revealing effect. To protect yourself from this, it is a good idea to have Necro Valley and a Burial from a different dimension in your side deck. Hand control decks present the biggest threat by being able to specifically remove assets essential to the deck.